Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So, let's check in on what's going on with Facebook. Let's see. This is from NBC News. Whistleblower tells Congress social network is accountable to no one. Former Facebook employee Frances Haugen argued at a Senate hearing Tuesday that Congress needs to require more transparency from the social networking giant. So, this is from NBC News, and it's just really a brief overview and doesn't do her testimony any justice. I watched it, and it was explosive, right? So she's talking about how they've been experimenting. They have studies about how young girls are suffering from the Facebook algorithms. It's like, oh my, yeah. It's insane. I watched the testimony. I'll just read you some of this, but I watched the testimony and it's like, wow. So she says, quote, I believe that Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, weaken our democracy, and much more. End quote. She said to the Senate Commerce Subcommittee on Consumer Protection. Hagen, 37, a former product manager on Facebook's civic misinformation team, said that effective regulation of Facebook would need to start with transparency, including allowing full access to data for research not directed by Facebook. The hearing largely focused on the company's impact on children and protecting kids who use online platforms. The senator's questions indicated bipartisan agreement that the content teenagers see is problematic and additional regulations are needed. The top Republican on the subcommittee, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, said that Facebook turned a blind eye to children on its sites. It is clear that Facebook prioritizes profit over the well-being of children and all users. Now, here's the real kicker for me, right? Understand, if it wasn't for Facebook, I'm just gonna put this out there, right? And you can say, hey, Dan, you're wrong, and I don't agree, or whatever. I'm just gonna put this out there. If it wasn't for Facebook doing the cover-up job they did, we would be looking at the second of Trump's presidencies. I'm just saying. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. They did a masterful cover-up burying anything about Trump. Remember, they kicked him off the platform so he couldn't communicate with the American public. Never forget that. They buried the Hunter Biden story. Them, YouTube, the mainstream media, they all buried this, right? So now the second, Facebook isn't serving the needs or wants of the left. They're going to throw you under the bus. Let this be a lesson to any of those siding with the communists. This is what communists do. Do you think you have friends in them? You don't. There's no honor amongst thieves. And literally, any organization of people that takes the wealth of another person, keeps a big chunk for themselves, then redistributes whatever crumbs are left, are thieves. There's no honor amongst thieves. That's what these people are doing. Don't you get it? But look, Facebook is, they're on a chopping block with the communists now. It's just, I know I can't stop smiling because we all knew this day was coming, and now it's here. So revel and enjoy it. Let's continue on. Let's look at the highlights. Former Facebook employee Frances Haugen testified before a Senate subcommittee about what she says are problems at the social media company that harm children and stoke division. The hearing comes one day after a Facebook global outage, which has not been connected to Haugen, coming forward to share internal documents from the company. So for those of you who don't know, Facebook, WhatsApp, the other little crap they have, right, was out for 6 hours, almost all day yesterday. And I didn't notice Now, I noticed today because people were bringing it up. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even notice. But it is what it is. So what kind of data were they dumping? I don't know. Maybe they were hacked. They could have been hacked. More likely, though, I think they were probably dumping data, but hey, it's not for me to say. Senators were in bipartisan agreement that Facebook does not protect children and teens on the platform and more regulations are needed. Hold up. So you didn't want regulations for you liberals out there. You didn't want regulations during election time, during the presidential elections. You didn't want to regulate it. You didn't want to touch Facebook. You fought President Trump on every second of it, right? Every foothold. You held and you fought. Now, all of a sudden, you want regulations. Okay. And you said it's to protect children and teens. Okay. Hagan said Facebook implemented safeguards leading up to the 2020 election, but then turned them off afterwards. But the January 6th riots at the U.S. Capitol led Facebook to break the glass and turn them on again. So now keep in mind, I just saw this. I didn't read through it before. And you heard how many times I just said election, right? And then we get to the root cause of it, the election, right? So I think what they're going to try to do is not so much that Facebook is going to be regulated. It's going to be the government has a control over and tells them what to do, tells them what to say. Remember, Nancy Pelosi already wants that. Joe Biden already wants that. So watch what happens here in the next few months when they start taking control of social media, because then they'll have the word of the people. So we got here already on Monday, Facebook had a massive outage that knocked out service to the social media giant's platform for users around the world. Hagen said in an opening statement, I don't know why it went down. I know that for more than 5 hours, Facebook wasn't used to deepen divides, destabilize democracies, and make young girls and women feel bad about their bodies. So this woman knows she probably just nuked her IT career. She just nuked at, how old is she? Rather young, 37. Rather young age to nuke your career, but hey. Hagen argued that allowing outside entities to see Facebook data would help combat much of the problems that the social media platform creates. External researchers would allow for regulators to build sensible rules and standards to address consumer harms, illegal content, data protection, anti-competitive practices, algorithm systems, and more, she said. Trojan horse, what they want to do is give big government right now. They have to do it right now. This is why all this is coming down, right? See, they can't wait. They have to do it right now. And they want to give big government control while the liberals are in control of all 3 branches of government, 2 of the 3. They want that control so they never lose power. It's a power play. So I want you guys to go and read this. You see what's going on. Tell me what you think about it. Leave it in the comments. Like, subscribe, share. And as always, do what you got to do.